Hi, I'm Sarah Ockwell-Smith. I'm the author of a new book about childism, the discrimination of children, called Because I Said So. I'd really like to read you a little bit of the book. I'd love to know what you think. This is the beginning of chapter 1, which is called The Case Against Childism. When I had my first child in 2002, I struggled to follow the mainstream parenting advice of the time, particularly when it came to sleep. My son was easily the worst sleeper of all the babies I came across in the baby groups we attended. The other parents were able to put their babies down, awake, in their cots, in their blacked out nurseries, give them a quick kiss on the cheek, then walk out and close the door. Their babies were capable of the miraculous skill of self-soothing, while mine would cling to me desperately. He wailed when I put him down, his arms reaching up for me, big brown teary eyes, pleading with me to pick him up again. My baby's sleep and feeding schedules were erratic and unpredictable, while theirs would sleep and feed to the clock and military predictability. Desperate to fix my baby, I turned to books and online advice that urged me to leave him to cry for a few minutes while I waited, physically unresponsive nearby. Apparently, in my quest to soothe my son, I had created bad habits that we now had to break. We lasted for one horrible, heartbreaking night. I couldn't bear to put him through any more trauma. Reluctantly, I continued to meet his needs for physical contact throughout the day and night, all the while feeling that I was somehow a worse parent than those with the perfect sleeping babies because I had failed to do what was best for him. My son quickly grew into a toddler, and my worries moved on from sleep to be replaced by concerns about his tantrums. Here, the books, television experts, and online chat groups told me to reward him when he was well behaved with stickers on a chart displayed on our fridge door, and to punish him by sending him for time out when he was naughty. I struggled to make him stay in one place when we attempted time out, so one day, in desperation, I learned that if I shut him in our small entrance porch, he could not open the door handle and escape. For 1 week, I faithfully took him to the porch and closed the door every time he misbehaved. I would stand the other side of the door while he howled and pleaded with me to let him out, timing 2 minutes, a minute for each year of his life, as advised. This seemed even worse than the sleep training we'd attempted. It physically hurt my heart to hear him begging me to open the door, and when his time was up, he once again clung to me, heaving big sobs for what felt like hours. Once again, I abandoned the technique advocated by so many and decided that I just wasn't strong enough to follow the advice. I had failed to sleep train my son, and now I was failing to discipline him. I felt like a social pariah at the baby and toddler groups with the placid, good sleeper babies and compliant toddlers. Eventually, I stopped going to them. Instead, I stayed at home, where I didn't feel pressure to follow the popular childcare methods that produce such easy, well-behaved children. As the months and years went by, I learned that the best way to help my son and his 3 siblings who followed to sleep and to regulate their emotions was through connection, meeting needs and helping him to feel safe and secure. I began to learn his needs and his triggers and how to avoid them and how to de-escalate him when his big feelings threatened to boil over. We were both so much happier. Slowly, I learned to trust my instincts, to nurture my son and to place his needs above the opinions of others. And the more I did so, the more I resented the advice I had received, not just from books, strangers on the internet and television parenting experts of the time, but from healthcare professionals too. Talk of ignore, punish, praise and reward, and teaching self-soothing was everywhere. Finally, I began to question the commonly held wisdom more than I questioned my own instincts and my son's behaviour. I realised the advice felt wrong because it was wrong. It was all about ignoring a child's needs and not meeting them. It was all about disconnecting rather than connecting. It was about compliance over compassion, and forcing independence before meeting the primal need for dependence. The advice didn't work for me, but perhaps more importantly, it didn't work for my son. I grew angry at the messages so prevalent in society, which led me to try to raise my son in a way that felt instinctively wrong to both me and him. However, these experiences also planted a seed, one that would take a further 5 years to begin to sprout and another 2 decades to come to fruition. They became the fuel behind my desire to raise awareness of the way society discriminates against children and their needs in an attempt to prioritise the wants and wishes of adults. While I would dearly love to relive those years, free of self-doubt, to enjoy every precious snuggle with my son and to treat him with the full respect he truly deserved from the moment he was born, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, today, without them. The realisation of the terrible childism that exists in our society today, from the very moment a baby is born, is the inspiration for everything I have done in my professional life since. Thanks for listening.